Hi, everybody. I want to talk to you about narcissistic rage and just rage in general and its place in the manipulation sphere. So, I've got a playlist that's called the Narcissist Playbook where I outline all 9 or 10 of the manipulation tactics that are most frequently used. It's not the exhaustive list, but it's certainly the absolutely most common 9 that you'll see. Very proficient manipulators use combinations of these, and sometimes that's considered the 10th manipulation method. It's the multiple offender, the ability to combine multiple tactics at once. This is typically somebody who's been manipulative all of their life. And so by the time you meet them, they are very well versed at a virtuoso level. So, the narcissistic rage. Why are you so mad? Why are you mad? Like, why are you yelling at me? Like, and this goes above and beyond just general personality disorders, arguing and fighting with regular people. Why is it people get mad? So first of all, what is anger? Anger happens when everybody has in their head the cartoon version of reality, the cartoon version of how they think things should be, how they think things should happen. Basically, the happy little cartoon in their head. Well, then there's reality and the way that things actually turn out. And when things do not go the way you planned, anger tends to be an immediate response to that. That's one way of doing it. But there's more than one use. There's more than one use for anger, especially when it's intentional, right? So there's anger that's involuntary, which is how most of us get when things don't go our way. You're playing Mario, Bowser kills you for the umpteenth time. You imagine you throw the controller and you say "F you, Bowser," and you go storming off to wherever it is you want to go. But then there's anger that's intentional, voluntary, purposed, and utilitarian. So it's useful anger. You're using it for a reason. We see this a lot with manipulators. They use the term, why you got to make me so mad? Why do you make me angry? Because they put the blame on you. So why does this happen? What is the point? Why do it on purpose? Why would anybody voluntarily get mad? And I'll tell you, when somebody is mad at you on purpose, it is because you have done or said something that puts you in a position of power, and you have the upper hand. And they do not want you to have the position of power, because that position is where they manipulate from. When they do not have the position of power, they are not in control of anything, you especially. So, what I would call the voluntary fit of rage is, the voluntary fit of rage is a choice they make and a tactic that they use to knock you out of the position of power and put you into a defensive position. And you can see it happening. They're like little velociraptors. You remember from Jurassic Park? Of course you do. Everybody does. The original Jurassic Park, where they're saying that the velociraptors systematically test the fences looking for weaknesses, right? When somebody is voluntarily mad at you and you stay calm, you will see them test each individual little point in your defenses to try and unseat you from your position. They go from subject to subject to subject, varying their intensities. They go from angry to crying to angry to crying. They try they just go through this weird fucked up list. So when you're in the position of power and they start just out of nowhere just start raging at you, do this. You stay calm. Do not change your answers at all. Do not try to meet them in the middle. Never, when somebody just rages at you, you should stand your ground. Don't go over the top of them. Don't back down either. You say, I did what I did because I felt it was the right thing to do. If it makes you mad, it makes you mad. But what I did was what I felt was right. Yeah, I mean, I did it because I felt it was the right thing to do. I felt it was the right thing to do. That's why I did it. Yeah, because I thought it was the right thing to do. I wouldn't do anything that I thought wasn't the right thing to do. Because I thought it was the right thing to do. That's why. You see what I mean? Don't change your answer. Don't waver. What you'll see is that the more consistent you stay, you'll see them systematically test each little individual point in your defenses, trying to find a way in, looking for a trigger, looking for something to piss you off, something to unseat you, something to trigger you and get you to fly off the handle. They want you to get mad too, because their anger is a choice. But when they trigger you, your anger is now not a choice, right? It's been done to you. And that's the fundamental difference. Anger by choice is different than anger by trigger. And once they get you triggered and angry and flustered and frustrated, that's how they come in and beat you. You know, there's a good phrase where they say, never argue with an idiot, because they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. This is a big mechanism of that, right? They will, the second that you wield a position of power over them, either you know the truth, well, I mean, that's pretty much what it all comes down to. And, you know, what they're trying to do is make you, pummel you down into submission. So they get angry and angry and angry. So what do you do about this? Well, first of all, it really just depends on what it is you're trying to get out of it. So understand this. The reality of the situation is, for as long as they cannot change your feelings, change your emotions, as long as they can't get to you, as long as they fail to trigger you, they are going to continually increase their intensity. They're going to increase the sheer volume of tactics that they use. They're going to escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate without stopping. And that's very, very important for you to know, because you need to put an end to it and remove yourself from the situation before it gets to that level. Because this is where physical violence comes into play. This is where all of the law enforcement involvement type things start to come in. If you allow someone to continually escalate and continually escalate and continually escalate, then one of you will end up in jail or a hospital or a combination of the two, because sooner or later, it may not be the first time, but most especially on repeat offenses, if this becomes a regular occurrence, it ends with jail time or hospital time or both. You do not want to be with someone or around someone who rages intentionally, who escalates constantly, and who never backs down. I always say, be completely honest with people. If you tell somebody the truth and they get angry about it, that's not your fault and that's not your problem and it's not your responsibility. You've been honest. Okay, you've been absolutely honest with somebody. And if they cannot handle that, if that makes them mad, if they can't deal with honesty, you really cannot help them much further than that. Except maybe sympathy, but then they're not going to want sympathy, right? You can't tell them to calm down. They're not going to want to be told to calm down. There's really not much you can do for somebody if you've been completely honest and consistent and not been subverted into a submissive position. Okay? They're controlling. They want you to be under control. They want you to be their supply. They want you to snap to attention and say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir. And if you are right, and I always say this in many of my videos, live your life doing what you feel is the right thing to do and what you think is the right thing to do. If you live your life doing the things that you think and feel are the right thing to do, then very few criticisms can come of it. And very few people who are non-disordered, what I would say, normal people, right? People will forgive mistakes because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm far from perfect. I fuck up every day, But the thing is we all screw up. We do. We make mistakes. But you got to look at what were the intentions. Was somebody intending well and it just didn't work out? That's understandable. You know what? They meant well. It just didn't work out, Like, so people are pretty keen on forgiving good intentions that don't work out. So you don't need to worry about that. And that's how you should live your life anyways. Even in bad company. Don't let bad company influence how you behave. You don't want to suddenly become a bad person or a snake or a sneak just because you're in the company of the same people. That's a really bad idea now that I think about it. So you don't want to do that. So to sum this up, when somebody's getting angry at you on purpose and you've been honest with them, and you've discovered something that is the truth, and they start blowing up at you and they start raging, stick to your guns, stand your ground, and you need to get out of that situation because they will continually escalate until jail or hospital. And if you are a man dealing with an escalating female, chances are it's going to end up with you going to jail. Because you're the man. So whether you like it or not, anytime there's a domestic violence disturbance going on and two people are fighting and a man is triggered and a woman's triggered and they're both causing a scene, most of the time, it's a sad but unfortunate fact. If you're a dude, you have a much greater chance of going to jail and getting a record for it than a female does. And they've proven this in plenty of social experiments. They did a social experiment where they had a man and a woman fighting, and when the man was the aggressor against the female, people immediately grabbed their phones and called 911, and they stepped in to defend the woman. But when it was a woman yelling and screaming and hitting a guy, calling him a bastard, and all of these things, and the guy was cowering, and she was actively punching this guy, people were just standing by, videoing and laughing. And everybody just decided that this guy must have done something to deserve it, like cheating or something like that, right? So socially, we are biased against men in violent and aggressive situations. So to sum this up, when somebody's escalating, when you're getting a fit of rage, it's because you're in a position of power. Do not give up that position of power, but don't hang around for it to escalate. You hang on to your position of power, and then you say, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm not wrong, but I'm not hanging around for this. So you can go to your room and yell at the wall all you want. And you get out, and then you don't put yourself back in the company of this person, because they will not stop escalating. They will continue to escalate until you're out of a position of power, which means jail or a hospital. So I'm out of time. Thank you very much for listening. Please like, comment, or share, and I'll see you on the next video.